Now, strange times are these in which we live when old and young are taught falsehoods in school. Sound familiar? And the person that dares to tell the truth is called at once a lunatic and a fool. Well, I've been called a lot worse than lunatic and a fool, believe me, a lot worse. But Plato was saying that back in the day. And I've been saying there's no work-life balance. Jack Welch says it a lot better than I did, or you. There's no such thing as work-life balance. There are work-life choices, and you make them, and they have consequences. The high-performance people that I have the privilege of coaching, mentoring, teaching, know exactly how many hours a day they worked every fucking day last year. If you kept track of every minute of the day, you couldn't get through the day without throwing up because you accomplished nothing. The high-performance kids that I have the privilege, and I say it's a privilege, of coaching and mentoring, know I worked, for example, one of the Hall of Famers you're going to see up here, he worked 11.7 hours, 365 days last year. Average, 11.7 hours. And the Germans have it down to the 10th. We're lucky they didn't wake up Hitler when we invaded Normandy. Or we'd be speaking German right now. We're fucking lucky that he was a psycho. I'm a psychopath too. But they wake me up. You know, they woke me up this morning. But if they had if they had allowed Hitler to get up, or they told him about the invasion, he had 70 or 80 panzer divisions that would have stopped us at Normandy, and that would have turned the war. So sometimes being a psychopath works for you. It has worked for me. Now, all of us can relate to one of these things stopping you. You got dreams. There's pessimists. There's just natural rejection. There's haters. Society in general. Friends. Relatives. Fear, which is false expectations appearing real. Guilt. Doubt. Your boss. No wonder you don't achieve your goals. No wonder you don't achieve your goals. But we all can relate to that. Now, I cannot relate to any of those. The only two things on that slide that I can relate to is dreams and goals. I cannot relate. I've never allowed anybody's thoughts or words to stop me. When I was growing up, my father told me, sticks and stones can break your bones, but words can never hurt you. It's just the fucking opposite now. Now we have kids committing suicide because of Facebook. I don't get that. And I blame the parents. The parents shouldn't be allowed to sue Facebook. They fucked up, not Facebook. Why? What could enter a teenager's mind that he wants to kill himself just because some asshole says something not nice about him on Facebook? Where are we? We're fucked. Success leaves clues. Remember that you're being told, play it safe. You've changed. You should be happy with what you have. I never heard any of those things except you've changed. But I've been this way so long, they don't tell me I've changed. From when I was a kid, I certainly have. And I'm certainly not like any of my cousins. Now, heretofore, you have learned nothing but shit. That's dinosaur shit. Everybody in this audience that has attended, and you've all attended somebody's something, or listened to a podcast, haven't learned a fucking thing. Kids are not programmed for success. This audience is a result of that. This kid wasn't programmed for success other than he wore a Superman thing. These two young ladies were programmed for success. The Williams sisters. Their father was a tyrant. He beat them. He screamed at them. He humiliated them. Success leaves clues. Tiger Woods, when he was 3 years old, on television. I met his father. He humiliated him. I saw him hit Tiger at a golf tournament for coming in second. For coming in second. by one stroke. Are you getting the message? And then when he won the last Masters, his 15th, I think, pro or major championship, Josh Kim, my teenage, he doesn't like me calling him a teenager, former teenage multimillionaire phenom. 17, 18, 19, we know what all you guys were doing. You were jacking off. Teenage phenom multimillionaire. What the fuck were you doing? You miserable pieces of, ought to pull back the fucking dinosaur shit. Now there, to me, he looks about 13, 14 years old. And that's his best effort to look old. In a t-shirt, I have seen him in a t-shirt and jeans. He looks like he's in grade school. Plus, he has no facial hair. He's Asian. He's half Korean. But boy, did they program him for success. He's homeschooled. His dad is a West Point, just recently retired senior Army officer. His mother is a child psychologist. He's got 9 brothers and sisters. Sally and I have been to the home. It's like no home that you've ever been to. Everybody is perfect. And I'm not exaggerating. The 17-year-old teaches the 15 and 14-year-old. The 13-year-old teaches all the way down the line. And when we had dinner with him about a year ago in Washington, D.C., Sally and I drove back by ourselves, and the father and the mother and their 7-month-old little baby, who she was breastfeeding at the goddamn restaurant, I said, you know, we can't relate to your family. There's nothing about your family that I can relate to or my wife. Nothing. Other than focus, strict rules, etc. What high-performance training did your parents do for you? Well, not much, right? I.e., you're here. Now, many of you know I'm first-generation Mexican whose mom and grandma swam across the Rio Grande River in 1924 illegally. And I'm for the wall. Just so I'm going to make that clear. I've created 50 billion, you know all that. First generation. To the best of my knowledge, I've created more wealth than all the first-generation Mexicans in the history of the United States of America. I've created more wealth, first-generation Mexicans, of the entire race on the planet. I'm getting no awards for it that I know of. But this is what my parents did. Oh, first of all, this is me standing in front of my grandmother's house in East LA. I don't know if I look innocent or not, but the house was a piece of shit. I think her house was 500 or 600 square feet. Our house was 600 or 700 square feet. That's not much of a house. That's a garage and a half is what that is. But my parents, these are the bars they set or wouldn't allow me to go beyond. I took dancing lessons in grammar school, ballroom dancing lessons. Arthur Murray, $10 a month. I took free golf lessons at the park. Nobody played golf. Nobody did ballroom dancing in East LA. I can fucking assure you. I took free tennis lessons at the park, Wilson Park. Nobody played tennis, golf, and ballroom dance in East LA. They allowed me to believe in the Easter Bunny, etc., the Tooth Fairy, way beyond the years I should have. I have a couple older cousins who are still around, say that I believed in Santa Claus until I was 12, 13 years old. Now, that's an exaggeration, but not much of one. They didn't allow Spanish in the home. Spanish was their primary language. They would not speak Spanish in the house because they didn't want me to grow up speaking English with a Mexican accent. My mother, by serendipity, Allah's will, got a hold of a copy of Dr. Benjamin Spock's book in 1946 about raising children, which is the Bible. on raising kids. And last time I checked it sold something in excess of 55 million copies worldwide. And last but not least, they only allowed me to listen to classical music. Now, how do you compare it to any of those? For those of you that speak English with a whatever accent, and you don't think you were discriminated against? Abso-fucking-lutely you were. Did your parents give a shit? Obviously not, because you speak with a fucking accent. Our grandson, future legend. When he's 10 years old, it's just going to say legend. We're programming him like a fucking robot. I'm not interested in his fucking opinion. I couldn't give a shit less. I know what the fuck that kid's going to do. Choice is bad. Look at you. Worthless pieces of shit. Free choice is worse. Hitler was killing the wrong people in World War II. All the smart Jews, all the smart rich, what the fuck was he thinking? He could have killed a lot of other people. It's not by accident our children went to one of these schools. These are the universities most attended by CEOs. Stanford, Penn State, Harvard, University of California, MIT. You hear that, Brian? Brian QLA Rose is in the audience, an MIT grad. Stanford, Harvard, INSEAD, Northwestern, Wharton School. It's not by accident our kids went to those schools. It's not by accident our two millennials are middle six-figure high earners. We didn't give them any fucking choices. Choice is bad. Look what choice has done for you. We were brought in innocent to this life. Then life happens. Most info given ref success is wrong unless you were lucky enough to have high-performing parents. Most of you didn't. And even if you had high-performing parents, they obviously didn't give a shit about you, because look at you now. Because they gave you choices. God knows why. Because they want to be liked and loved by you. I don't suffer from that. I told my kids decades ago, when you respect me 20 years after I'm gone, I will consider I did a good job. Respect, not love, not liked. Most people in this room were raised by pleasers. And what did they produce? Pleasers. You're forged by what you have seen and done. My dad, well, we're going to get to that. I'm getting ahead of myself. In your entire lives, what have you experienced? Weak, lackluster parents, no high-performance role model, low bar expectations, little or no accountability, little or no responsibility, leading to little or no accomplishments, leading to our snowflake society. And by snowflake, I mean melt under pressure. And when I say cunt, I mean coward. I remember growing up, my dad was a cop. After World War II, he made $142 a month. He had to work 2 extra jobs to put food on the table. When he retired from 28 years at the LAPD, he had over 700 statutory days off he didn't take. And in those days, he got a check. So he got a check for about $45,000. I never saw my dad take a day off. Never. I just started collecting Social Security a few years ago. You can collect in America at 55, 60, 65. And I just started collecting at, I was just about 70. And all my financial records from the time I had my first job, August the 10th, 1961, I was 16. And I worked as a box boy, where you take groceries and you just put them in a bag for the people in supermarkets. And it said from August the 10th to August 31, I worked every day, and at that time I was making about $1.05 an hour. And you can tell that I was working 10, 12, 14, this is the summer school's not in. I'm working 10, 12, 14 hours a day. I'm 16 years old. I would take anybody's shift. You want to go, you're sick, you want to go take your kid to the ball game, whatever, I take the shift. Because I saw my dad work every shift. We have people in this room that have planned their careers on days off. We have people in this room that have, and what do you think your kids think when they see you planning your future on how many days, how many statutory days, or how many days you call in sick and you're not sick? What do you think your little shithead kid thinks? There's probably hardly anybody in this room that for every day they were sick, I mean, they called in sick, they were really sick. You want to stretch the weekend. You want to make a 3 or 4 or 5 day weekend, so you call in sick. I never saw that. At the last hardcore seminar, I was sick. I'm still a little, I'm not in my head. I'm sick there all the time. But I mean, I had congestion. And a couple of people noticed it. If I was British, well, I'm going to have a lay-in. Is that how you said? When you're going to sleep in? Britain ruled 2/3 of the goddamn world at one time with something called gunboat diplomacy. What the fuck happened to you? What?